All right, let's just kick off our Pioneer this morning, huh? Got a few decks we want to get through today. We're starting off with a Bant Reclamation deck here. This deck is effectively kind of blue-white flash with a small green splash. For our namesake card, you got Wilderness Reclamation here. The end of your turn, untap all lands you control. We got some growth spirals to get lands into play ahead of time. We've got both Absorb and Thassa's Intervention here in the 3-mana counterspell slot. The curve on this deck's a little bit deceptive because we've got these 4 Hieroglyphic Illuminations here in the 4 slot, but this can really be, I don't think Moto lets me put a new pile here. This can really be a 1-mana spell, right? So like when visualizing the curve of this deck, I think it's helpful to visualize it more like this. And also with Growth Spiral, these 4s can be turn 3 plays overall as well. So let's go ahead and dive on into a Constructed League with this one and see how it goes. Gengar, still hunting for my whale, but here's money for Abs and Lands Builder in the meantime. Thanks for the biddies, Gengar. I appreciate the support. I'll get that after we're done today. Machete Mabel, thank you for the 12 months of support. I appreciate that. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. What's going on, Beefster? Thanks for the 3rd of a year. So speaking of Pioneer, Todd Anderson, Strong Sat on Twitter, is coordinating a Pioneer streamer tournament on Saturday, and they're raising money for something related to all the COVID nonsense that's going on with their streamer tournament. I don't know the full details on that, but I do need to figure out a Pioneer deck I want to play on Saturday in that. So one of the Moto leagues this week, or 2 perhaps, I'll co-op to try things. I definitely can. Gladriel, thank you for the ad biddies. I appreciate the support. Red Tomato, thanks for the 2/3 of a year. No, definitely not a tryhard tournament. I just don't even have like a 4 fun deck in this format at the moment that really speaks to me. What have we played in recent memory that's been good? I tend to leave decks that felt okay in my deck editor. Red Black Pyromancer was okay. I could see doing this. Merfolk was actually very good last time we played it. Yeah, Sultai Wreck was fun. And the upside if we played Sultai Wreck in the tournament would be that that deck has very little downtime on average. Like it tends to go to time. Upside, there would be no waiting. Well, you haven't really gone ham in Raid until you get to the point where you've actually pushed through the starting energy. But when you first start playing, they just throw like infinite energy at you because it jumps back up every time you level up and you get lots of refills. But you do eventually clear through the near infinite. And then I might roll out of bed most mornings and start playing to work through the energy it built up overnight. And then I usually play in the morning and then for a little bit after I sign off work for the day. Turn 1 Mutavault. Mutavault Beaumont Courier. So it's probably Insol. Would you like some lists in Discord? Nah, I don't think so. I think I've got plenty of things that I'm okay with picking from at this point. I think I'm playing the Hinterland Harbor untapped here and then actually going to just secure the waste for 1 and try and trade with this, assuming they don't put scissors on it. Dream Trawler is probably a more powerful win con than Scurrup God. Kinda. Like, the Dream Trawler doesn't, like, reward you for having extra mana. And what else? What else does the Sultai build do? The Sultai build gets Decay and Fatal Push. I guess this is mostly just blue-green with a small splash, huh? Yeah, this build's probably very similar. can get stubborn denialed here. Yeah, the old soft stub. I don't think I've ever played a deck on stream that like had a good blue-red scissors matchup. We just like always get run over. So this is looking like no exception. We even won the die roll this game and looking like we're gonna get run over here. Like, these Beaumont Couriers are gonna draw like 3 and 4 cards each. I need to draw like my one of Supreme Verdict that's in the main deck next turn to have a shot here. Like, absorb whatever spell they play and then untap and draw Verdict, and then maybe we're in the game. Maybe. Yeah, I think one of the, like, rock mid-range decks might have had an okay run against it at one point. Oh, yeah. Don't even give me a spell to absorb. Love it. Oh, yeah, we have 2 copies of Settle. So the problem with Settle is that, like, they're a stubborn denial deck. So, like, if we draw Settle the Wreckage, like, it's probably going to get counterspelled. Sphinx's Revelation. What a wonderfully constructed playable card that's definitely an appropriate power level for this format. I personally am excited to die with Absorbs and Sphinx's Revs in my hand. Feels mid-range, man. Not even mid-range, feels control. This is a control deck, right? And they actually just don't need to cast any more spells. If they're smart, they'll fire up 2 Mutabolts and attack us for 6 here. Oh, good. Are they casting a spell? That's so exciting. Oh, maybe they just want to hold up the activations on the Beaumonts, or they want to empty so they can activate the Beaumont. I guess that makes sense. They want to just, like, spew their hand so that way they can have their hand empty to draw cards off the Beaumont. Because, like, up to, like, 7 cards off of these, right? So, again, every turn this attacks, it tucks another friend underneath it, and then eventually they can draw all the friends. Well, I mean, I get to shock this in, and I get to, like, make castle tokens now. I mean, this Beaumont Courier is only going to draw 5 cards, chat. Come on now. That's totally beatable for my control deck, right? I can definitely do that. We haven't heard anything about Kaladesh coming to Historic anytime soon. We know there's an Amonkhet remaster on the roadmap for this year. We did put a permanent into play. Isn't it exciting? I'm excited, chat. Maybe they'll cast a spell pre-combat. Will Historic just become Pioneer? No. So there's already a number of cards that are Historic legal that aren't Pioneer legal. In fact, there's cards that are Historic legal that aren't even Modern legal at the moment. And, like, the number of cards that are in Historic that aren't legal in Pioneer and aren't legal in Modern is only going to continue to increase over time as they do more and more of these Historic anthology sets. Blue, white, absorb? Is them, if they would have just fired up the Mutabolts and attacked us, we'd have been pretty screwed. But the fact that they've now elected to cast a spell is, like, pretty decent for us. It will likely be the block compressed into one set with a focus around... it'll have a focus around cards that are mostly constructed playable. Wow, I cannot. Wow. All right, yeah. We might steal this because of their sequencing. Yeah. Yeah, and they're waiting to attack here because they don't want to attack the Beaumont into a removal spell here, which makes sense. If we're real, I'm going to cycle this Hieroglyphic Illumination, and if we're pretty fortunate, we'll draw a way to kill this Beaumont Courier next turn. Would be ideal. My opponent just said in chat that they accidentally skipped combat, but like the fact that they skipped combat actually worked out incredibly well for them, right? Like if they had gone to combat, things would have been worse for them than they are now, which is unfortunate for us. The untapped lands here that doesn't hurt us is great because it lets us activate Castle while still casting Azorius Charm. If they fire up Mutavault here, I'm probably going to charm the Beaumont and then make a token and double block the Mutavault, I think is my plan. They could have a Stubborn Denial, though. So I'm going to do this in response to its trigger. So this way it eats itself, basically, if this resolves. This also means that they want to sacrifice it, they get one fewer card. Yeah, I guess you just go ahead and absorb this, right? Go to 7, go to 3. I mean, do I just rev here and hope for the best? I think I do, right? I think we just like gain 5, draw 5. All right, and we have 6 cards in our bin, and we have a dig through time. This Settle the Wreckage. Yeah, the turn that my opponent like decided to cast spells instead of just like firing up both Mutavaults when we were down on board. They decided to play around us having something, and then playing around us having something meant that they lost. So like next turn I get to Settle the Wreckage plus Absorb, which sounds great, right? Right, I have 8 mana total here. Yeah, we get to cycle Hieroglyphic Illuminations too. Get to do these. You settle down over there. I think we should Verdict there, so that way we can use the Settle to deal with the Mutavaults. Maybe What if I just let this happen and then untap and Verdict? I think that's a good plan. Alright, so I have 5, 9 mana. So 9 mana is enough to Verdict, Absorb, Dig. Yes. Yes, it is. I need to leave 4 blue untapped for that, though. This leaves up Castle Activation plus Absorb, Dig. Need to tap an extra white, though. Protection from multicolored this. Churro Master, thank you for the 4 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Feels like we're sliding into garbage time here. Maybe these Mutavaults could leave us in a bad spot. Definitely have a small window where they can steal this game. I'm gonna go ahead and dig here, because I could hit an Azorius Charm and floop one of these on top of their deck. Do I just take both Reclamations here and plan to just, like, castle them out of the game? I think that's actually the plan. Do I play around Shrapnel Blast? I'm gonna say no. Well, so again, just to make sure everybody has good information at their fingertips, if you've been out of your house in the last 14 days, you don't know if you're currently avoiding COVID. Because that's the incubation period. So it's been, I don't know, 5 or 6 days since I left the house. Alright, now we're in garbage time. We didn't get Shrapnel Blasted here. We're getting to untap here with Absorb Up. Deba, that's all, folks. In my opinion, it is incredibly irresponsible that elections are being held on Tuesday. Feel free to disagree with that sentiment, but in my opinion, it is incredibly irresponsible that elections are still being held on Tuesday. I believe, was it Louisiana postponed theirs? One of them postponed their election. In my opinion, they should extend voting by mail and give people more of a chance to do that. Yes, so we have voting by mail in Illinois. It's just people who didn't realize there was a pandemic coming didn't vote by mail, and like the window to vote by mail closed last week. Yeah, that's the correct thing, Courtney. Based on tests that they have coming out of Korea, there are a lot of people that are carrying it that don't have symptoms. I mean, to be fair, the types of people that aren't going to actually believe COVID is a threat to them probably aren't people that are likely to be voting Democrat anyways. All right, so how are we sideboarding here? That's an intervention to be like an easy out. I think I want Dispute. I think I definitely want the Verdicts. I think I want the second Dream Trawler for closing. I think Revelation was like okay there, but I actually don't think I want it in this matchup. I don't think this is a Nightpack Ambusher matchup because their threats tend to be bigger than this. They have the option to vote by mail. Why would you go stand in line? Well, normally, so like, just to understand, like, normally if you live in a place where like you've probably seen things that like regarding voter suppression and long waits. If you live in a middle class white neighborhood, those things don't happen to you. Because those things are types of voter suppression that are targeting very specific types of people. Which is super terrible. Like, I personally have never waited more than... I've never spent more than 5 minutes voting in person. Because I've always been fortunate enough to have lots of privilege. Like, that's just the reality. I went and early voted in person on Thursday, and there were 6 other people there when it opened with me, and I was in and out in under 5 minutes still. Yep. And then this thing is the protection from multicolored on this card is so absurdly relevant in so many matchups in this format. So cannot Azorius Charm this because protection from multicolored probably just dead here. Hey, thanks for keeping me around, TDM. I wouldn't be here day in and day out without folks like you. All right, so they threw game 1. It looks like they're just going to run us over game 2. Maybe we can steal game 3. Oh, you know what? I should board in Blessed Alliance, huh? Hey, yeah, we're super dead at this thing. Let's board in Blessed Alliance. No deck in stone in this 75 might be a miss. Like, obviously, you've got the flashy thing going on main deck, so maybe you don't want the main. But I feel like having 0 of that in the 75 is probably wrong. But yeah, in my opinion, all of the states should have canceled their primaries on Tuesday, and they should have extended voting by mail for a week or 2. And yeah, I get it. It's complicated and messy to do that things based on laws that have existed in the past, that exist on the books, but like, we're in a very unique time in history. Things need to be done that are outside the norm. We've played... Sultai Reclamation is actually a Pioneer deck that's up on my website. This is our first time playing a Bant variation, though. Hey, good luck, Alan. And remember, I understand, I expect a number of paid subs to drop off during this time, because things are going to be tough for people. You've got that Surge, you'll be here in chat regardless. If you're someone who's, I posted this in the Discord announcements, but I'm not sure, some people might have that channel muted that are in the Discord server. If you're a paid subscriber on my channel, and you're in the Discord server, and money's going to get tight, because of all the COVID stuff that's going on, send me a message and I will manually assign you a role in the Discord server so you don't have to drop out when your sub drops during all of this. So I posted that in announcements over the weekend, but just to reiterate it here in case anybody missed that. I did not get a chance to watch John Oliver from last night yet. Christy and I usually watch those together, and she was still asleep this morning when I got up. I think we just take this hit and Growth Spiral here. Drop the Temple Garden. Looking for a supreme verdict, chat. Looking for a supreme verdict. You don't want fully electronic voting. Cohen, thanks for 16 months. Welcome back. As someone who's about as pro technology as you can get, I want, as long as the GOP exists, I want fully electronic things related to elections, just nowhere near it. Just let's make sure there's a paper trail that we can go back and count for actual everything. I actually really liked when I went in to vote in person. Yeah, when I went in to vote in person in Illinois, what they have is God bless America. We're just gonna get dumpstered here. They enter your information and they print you out a slip, and then you put the physical slip into the computer, and then you vote on the computer, confirm your records, and then it prints out what you voted for on the computer on the slip. Which seems like a very reasonable system to like kind of be middle ground, like still have a paper trail, but also utilize technology. Dr. 11, thank you for the brand new tier 1 sub. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Oh, they're afraid of Settle the Wreckage. Well, that's great. Okay, so do I take 4, draw 2? Do I just Azorius Charm this Beaumont Courier? I might just charm the Courier here, because I could basically just exile it, right? And then I can still cantrip. So like this exiles itself. Hey, nice Drunk Owl. That's actually the one legendary I have that I have ranked up. It's real good. It's good in the arena and lots of other places. It's on my dungeon team too. Charm Courier Alliance Snake. Nah, I think I want to cycle this and look for a sweeper. Okay. Looking for a land now. Scantrons. So when I was a graduate assistant during grad school, I actually worked in the lab at Illinois State University that processed Scantrons for the college, and then also a couple of the high schools in the area. The software that this was a decade ago at this point, almost a decade ago. I was 20, so nine years ago. But nine years ago, the computer they used to process the Scantrons was still using Windows 2000, which that was using Windows 2000 in 2010. Yeah, so the thing that they had set up there, it was a machine that read the markings, but then it read the markings into a computer. All right, so we're going to 11 here. Second 6 drop. That's exactly what you want to see. Okay. We're halfway. Oh, this doesn't even do anything, right? It just can't even block because these are protection from multicolored. I mean, I guess casting this means I'm not dead on board, right? Because they can't pump this up, and they can't. So we're dead. We're dead to scissors, and we're dead to a burn spell. No, this is pro multicolored, so they can't pump with Royal Scions. Yeah. So probably dead, but not dead on board. Dream Trawler, go. Yes, they can also attack with the 6/6 and leave back the 1/1. Hey, Macabre, let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for the continued Prime support. Wouldn't be here without folks like you. Alright. Down to 2. Am I dead yet? Looks like it. Looks like it. Like I said, never beaten this archetype in my life, it feels like. The one game we won in that match was because my opponent threw it away. I did have a blast. I did have a blast. So, we were discussing some of the merits of this deck versus the Sultai Reclamation deck that's on my website, and I kind of feel like that matchup really highlighted the merits of having the black cards versus the white cards. Like, having access to Fatal Push and Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy is a really big difference in matchups like what we just got done playing. Like, having cheap, efficient ways to interact with things is a big deal. Hey, ZJ, thanks for the tip. I appreciate it. I'll get that deck added after I'm done today. Also, by the way, I almost tweeted it, but I felt right to say it in a video. There is just an absurdly large donation from someone with the username Magic Dexter over the weekend. So thank you for that. I did see that come through. I appreciate the support. Deggles, thanks for the 14 months. Welcome back. Well, it's like a Teamer ramp deck. I wonder what their red's for. Maybe they're playing like Kozilek's Return. Speaking of picking decks for the tournament this weekend, I did see someone linked me there was a Teamer Emerge deck with 4 Elder Deep Fiend that have been making the rounds in the Pioneer events. That might be something I consider. Yep. Do you want me to list your super packs? I have the list. That was... Oh, they are playing the Teamer Merge deck. Speaking of... Opponent just... Yeah, okay, so they're playing the Teamer Merge archetype I was just talking about. It is fairly rampy. Yeah, watching the debate and like watching the debate and watching just like more of the people who have been like lifelong politicians that aren't Bernie, it really makes me realize more and more that like a lot of the things Trump does that are bad like aren't specifically Trump things or things that I don't care for so much as they're just generic politician things. Streaming on Twitch easier. It's super easy. Literally just create an account and then setting up OBS is like point and click. If you can create a PowerPoint presentation, you can set up OBS. Yeah, it's literally, as far as like the Twitch part is, it's like setting a title. You can even, like if you're doing like pseudo-private Twitch streams, you can even set your Twitch up to be uncategorized so it like doesn't pop up in any specific category. You just subscribed this morning, Dr. 11, so the Twitch server, I can kick it. I think I can force a sync. Integrations. Please sync now. All right, if you look in the connections tab on your, desktop Discord, you should see the server now, because I just told it to sync up. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. You'll get a pre-roll ad. You don't get, streamers control when ads run mid-stream. So, like, people will get a pre-roll ad when they first join, but after that, there aren't ads unless the streamer runs them. So Twitch has a mandatory pre-roll ad because that's how Twitch makes some money off people using their platform for free. But aside from people getting that ad when they first load your channel up, there won't be ads in the middle of your stream randomly. Yeah, you could use Discord as well. You can screen share up to 50 people. Their infrastructure can be hit or miss, though, in my experience. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's not. You love to see it, Punchworthy. Alright, so they just escaped an arrow. Am I absorbing this? I feel like I'm just absorbing this. Am I absorbing this? Maybe I'm just letting this happen and then we'll charm it. I guess if I charm it, it like draws a card when it attacks. Yeah, not having real removal spells has felt super medium so far in this deck. Yeah, we both have a lot of lands in play, but like both of our decks are likely pretty land heavy. I think we're on 27 lands in this build. Yeah, 27 lands. And like, we do stuff with our mana, so like at some point we're gonna find a Sphinx's Revelation, right? And just draw a bunch of cards. Maybe even win the game. Yep. I don't feel like you need the giant explosion in this format. Oh, we're about to get Emrakul, aren't we? Oh, we're about to get Ulamogged. Yeah, I guess that just makes sense, huh? I guess that just makes sense. So we're going to try and draw a counterspell here. Alright, so I'm going to let all of their triggers happen before they know I'm countering this. So we'll make them pick what they're getting before we show them we have Absorb. Feels Magic Man. Yep. Well, shoot. So they got a World Breaker here with the Sanctum. They just shocked in a land. Are we gonna get Ulamogged again? Is their hand like World Breaker Ulamog right now? We're just like super dead. Scott Pete, thanks for the 2/3 of the year Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Wouldn't be here day in and day out without folks like you. I'm interested to see what the viewer counts end up looking like for this week. It's hard to know. There's more people that are stuck at home that can watch Twitch during the day right now, but there's also probably going to be more people streaming. So I feel like it's probably going to be kind of hard to predict. And this Uro is just like going to grind us into the ground, right? Like, even if I find a sweeper, it just like keeps coming back. Lost Axiom, thank you for the 19 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, kids to a degree. Well, I slip up on occasion. I don't swear too much. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's people that are, like, able to be at home. Like, you don't have to have your full attention on a stream, right? Like, you can just, like, keep it on in the background, too. I definitely, like, frequently have streams up while the kids are around. Depending on what the stream is, obviously. Yeah, this is probably going to be a good example of you probably want to be the biggest deck in the format. Not just this one that, like, has other things that can still go over the top of it. Oh, yeah, we're just about to get K returned, right? That's what they've been holding on for? Yeah, we're super dead. Worldbreaker has reach, and it's just going to flashback K return. I feel like this has got to be unwinnable, right? I guess I'll bring in these counter spells. And, like, these Supreme Verdicts. Rest in Peace. Yeah, I guess Rest in Peace is good, huh? It deals with Uro, technically. Do I want... I guess if I'm bringing in Rest in Peace, this Rest in Peace shuts off their K returns. Yeah, my best chance is probably just like... Yeah, Secure is bad for sure. Am I trimming Illumination? I feel like trimming this isn't unreasonable. Get rid of the search since I'm bringing in Rest in Peace. Maybe I don't want the disputes. I'll just leave the 8 counters I have in the main deck. That's probably accurate. Oh, I guess the big difference between this build and the Sultai build is this build's not playing Frilled Mystic, huh? It's definitely a card the Sultai build plays. I mean, the solutions to what's going on in our country right now, Spooky Moblin, are simply passing the things that the left has been pushing for a long time. Guaranteed paid sick leave backed by the Fed is a real good start. Guaranteeing paid sick leave and paid family leave are things that have been pushed for a long time by a lot of people. And part of me has this potentially vain hope that, like, all of these people who have always been comfortably middle class and full of privilege will take a step back and realize that, like, hey, the people that they vote for does matter, and these people can impact their lives, especially in a time of crisis. And maybe they'll realize that, like, the GOP really doesn't have the best interests of actual human beings at their heart. Good to have you here, Jukawal. I don't think that's true, Ketchup Fights. I think the assumption that most middle-class people can work for home greatly underestimates what the reality is for a lot of people. I think a lot of people who can work for home are more likely to be what I would classify as upper middle class. They're people making close to 6 figures or more in some cases. Oh, Dig Through Time should maybe come out if we're playing Rest in Peace, huh? That could be reasonable. Yeah, if you don't work in a tech capacity, you probably can't work from home, or you can only do it in a limited capacity. Like, there's some other jobs, like finance-related things or bookkeeping type things that perhaps could do more, but yeah. I don't know. Ideally, the federal government, a lot of states and governors have already started doing this. Hearts Hat, thanks for the brand new Prime support. Ideally, everything's going to get shut down in this country. And while everything gets shut down except for essentials like grocery stores and emergency services, the government will step in and make sure utility bills that get missed don't result in shutoffs. Mortgage payments and rent that gets missed don't result in evictions. Like, those are the types of things the government should be protecting people from. The government can step in and fix missed payments. The government cannot step in and fix dead people. Yeah, obviously, so, like, as always, like, whenever I talk about things that are likely, whenever I say things that are likely, or this is probably the case, or things like that, I am not making a blanket statement and implying to you that you won't have anecdotal evidence to the contrary of what I'm talking about. Anecdotal evidence abounds regardless. I actually think there's a good chance, and this is really sad and frustrating in a way, I think there's a high probability that the US ends up being much worse off than places like Italy, because there's going to be a lot of gun-toting, freedom-loving, the government can't tell me what to do with my life type people that are going to get a lot of people killed during this pandemic, because they will not be respectful. And they will not do the things that need to be done to make sure we can mitigate this. Sweet. They're going after the Rip, and I have another one. So I'm actually going to go ahead and absorb the World Breaker in response to this trigger. So that way the World Breaker gets exiled. Yeah, and we only have less dense populations in some places. And a lot of the places where the population really isn't that dense have fewer access to hospitals. So, like, there's real trade-offs in that perspective as well. I mean, I can convert the dig through times with 1 reclamation here. Thanks for the 2/3 of a year, Fire and Fury. Thanks for being responsible. In a way, there's a little bit of a sense of karmic justice in terms of terrible people going on, because boomers who have largely voted to dismantle or not create social safety nets in the United States for years, now their lives quite literally are going to depend on millennials to not go to work and not spread this disease. And a lot of those millennials feel they can't not go to work because of the social safety nets that boomers have dismantled and rejected creating over the years. So we're getting EDF'd. Probably gonna absorb plus rip this turn. Yay, I agree, Herring. It's really terrible all around. Oh, we're not going to be able to rip because they're tapping us off of white mana. Yeah, that's fine. I think I'm still... Actually, am I absorbing this? What if I just dig in response? I'm just going to dig in response. They've officially called for all schools in NJ to be closed. Good. All schools, restaurants, bars, and places of business that aren't essential in the United States should be closing down. Or we are going to end up worse than Italy very quickly. I think I want Nightpack Ambusher and absorb here. We still have a draw step for the turn. We get to untap our lands at the end. 6. We'll play this out as our 7th land, and then we can absorb plus Ambusher here. I don't know. The people in chat that are asking me what qualifies as essential and what doesn't, I don't know. I'm a random idiot in my 20-something streaming on Twitch. People who like have scientific backgrounds and pandemic response backgrounds and people that have done research on these things, those are the people that should be making those decisions, not me. I don't have the answers, chat. Sorry. Ideally, we should have a president who has staff surrounding him that will help him seek out the appropriate answers. But a bunch of bigots decided to elect a narcissistic psychopath, so that's not currently the case. Right, we're through the World Breaker here. I'm unfortunately not going to get a 2/2 friend this turn. But we'll start making friends next turn, most likely. I did hear that Trump tried to buy a Cure exclusive to the United States. I don't know if there's truth to that, though. It's tough. It's one of those things where it's like, well, this one fits my worldview, so I want to believe it without verifying. It's also one of those things where, like, maybe there's a glimmer of hope, and, like, that's not actually what happened. Maybe. Please, dear God. Cavalier of Thorns. Let's absorb that one. I think I'd rather absorb than Intervention, because I'd like Intervention to draw some cards here. It was confirmed by the German government. Well, I mean, Trump is a ghoul. So yeah, it's ghoulish behavior from a ghoul. They expect the issue could last 12 months. They expect 4 out of 5 people to get the virus. Yeah, a lot of predictions are putting the United States to be, 70% of people are going to pick it up. One of my wonders and kind of small worries is, like, what happens, like, a lot of places have closed things for the next 2 weeks, but what happens after that, right? Like, things could change very quickly in the next 2 weeks here. Hopefully the hospitals don't get overwhelmed. All of the data from the other countries say that the hospitals are going to get overwhelmed in the next week, though. A lot of the metrics I saw said by the 23rd in March, based on the projections from Italy. Man, these world breakers have been appropriately named, huh? All right, and again, we're going to counter this in response to its trigger. So that way, counter unless they pay 4. They have 1, 2, 3 mana. So I want to counter this in response to its trigger, so that way it goes to the graveyard and then gets exiled before the Rest in Peace goes away. Here in Canada, it's expected they will announce a shutdown of non-essential businesses. Only gas, groceries, and pharmacies will stay open. That seems like a reasonable list of things to keep open. Okay, so I get to start using my castle in the sky here. Scry me a river, baby. Are these Rest in Peace going to win us this game? I think there's a chance our Rest in Peace might win us this game. So it's not over yet, but like, we're in a much better spot than I expected to be. Looking for threats here. Wolfpack looking good. Yeah, one of the things that's kind of strange to me, so like Illinois announced, a number of other states, JK, LOL, thought we could win, lol, fair interactive deck, thought it could win, lol. Hey, Delta. Well, welcome back. Glad to hear. All right. Hopefully they attack with this Deep Fiend here, and then I get to Nightpack Ambusher, kill the Ugin. Well, they didn't take the bait, chat, so I assume we're dead. Opponent played well. Why is my opponent got to make good decisions, chat? Why couldn't they just be a big, dumb silly? Yeah, we just can't beat this Ugin. There's no Assassin's Trophies in my deck. Like... Yeah, this feels rough compared to this ulti build. Not having Scarab God to turn on a dime, not having real interaction to take problem permanence off the table, not having a real clock to end games once we kind of take control a little bit. Feel like I greatly prefer this ulti build. Sorry, to complete my thought from earlier, it's weird that they've closed restaurants and bars, but they haven't closed gyms and casinos. I feel like you could probably make the argument that gyms and casinos facilitate transmission of, and obviously maybe if there's a health professional out there, this is speculation on my part, but I would assume the environments in gyms and casinos are more conducive to transmitting things. Gyms are said to be highest risk. Nobody goes to the gyms anyways. The LA Fitness by me is often packed. I stopped going to the gym as well. Your wife's job is taking everyone's temperature as they come in. Yeah, but that doesn't do it though. Like, the people can have no symptoms and be carriers and be transmitting things. That's why it's so important for people to just, like, stay home. Are we 0-2 facing Inverter? Yeah, probably. Hey, the Inverter deck only has a 49% win rate. Wizards told me the Inverter deck is fine because it only wins 49% of the time, chat. Come on now. There are 6 casinos in CA that started closing over the weekend. Good. Ohio schools may close the rest of the year. The rest of the school year or the rest of 2020? School year, okay. Yeah, I heard some people kick around the idea that they heard some school districts floating they would close through summer and then maybe maybe finish the school year over the summer and then roll into the next year, assuming we get a handle on things. Wonder if there's an Abzan version of what this deck is doing. Why? What do you gain? Like, most of the cards of this deck are blue. What does Abzan gain from Wilderness Reclamation? You can't do that in the South. Yeah, a lot of the schools in the South don't have air conditioning, right? Yeah, Illinois closed schools through the end of the month. There's a very real chance that this is not going to be anywhere near done by the end of the month, though. Narset, to me, kind of implies that they're probably not an Inverter deck. Well, I was talking and clicking at the same time, and we just did that. All right, I'm gonna go to the next match. This league's been a disaster anyways. Let's play the last two. People need to hear that, Terradra. It could definitely just be my social circle and the things I've seen, but there are a lot of people, especially 20-somethings, that don't think this is, not even just 20-somethings, but there's a lot of big, America's the best everything, that think this isn't a big deal and think that we're going to be okay. What this is likely going to be is very eye-opening to a lot of people that the hospital system we overpay for is not better equipped than other countries. This crisis situation is going to be a lot like people acting anonymously on the internet. And what I mean by that is, look around at your friend group and look around at people you interact with in your day-to-day and see how they are reacting to this. The amount of arrogance and lack of caring for people around them, or the lack of empathy and seriousness that they are taking regarding this, that is fundamentally who those people are. How someone acts in a time of crisis reveals who they actually are as a person. And hopefully some people are just making bad decisions because they're scared, and because if they admit that it's real, they have to deal with some other emotional backlash. Hopefully they're not all just terrible people, but it's tough. It's yeah. No. If you are not someone in the medical industry, the best thing you can be doing right now, aside from practicing good hygiene, is just social distancing as much as possible. If it's optional, skip it. Thanks for the 13 months of Prime Delta. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Two years worth of food's a bit extreme. Having 2 weeks worth of food is probably not unreasonable. The CDC posted guidelines last night recommending that all gatherings of 50 or more people be canceled for the next 8 weeks. And there is a chance that if people don't take things seriously and things get worse, that recommendation could be extended. In places like Italy, they were calling on retired nurses and doctors and people who were in their final years of schooling because they were just that short-staffed. This is the part where we get collected, companied, and then die, right? That's the part. 27 lands later, miss our 4th land drop for 2 turns. Austria banned gatherings of 5 or more. That's not unreasonable, in my opinion. Oh, feels magic, man. I was arguing with the boomer at work with on Friday about COVID. I got to the part of the argument that I flat out told him COVID will kill millions. He just shrugged. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Marty, there's a reason why I'm ending on historic. There's a reason why we're ending on historic. I'm also going to be flexible to run long 2 or 3 days this week, I think. And which days I plan to run long are going to depend on what the viewer counts look like. Australia, not Austria. Okay. In Italy, they were having to choose between which people to give healthcare to because there were only so many beds. Yep. It is impossible to be a libertarian whilst being capable of empathy. Those two things can't coexist. Beast to Burden, thank you for the 12 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Waste Not's not a constructed playable card. I'm assuming most people in the chat are younger, but we seem to care more. It's basically no worse than flu for us. I mean, so the median age in my content based on YouTube estimates is 25 to 34, I believe is my primary age range. But I also think, especially people in my chat, you have to understand the type of bubble that we have here. So like the types of people who are willing to give me money and be in chat and support me after all the ranting and stuff that I do, you kind of have to be skewed towards a certain type of thinking to still be here, right? Or at least tolerate being around a certain type of thinking. All right, so what are we doing here in this matchup? Verdict and Dispute both seem good. Settle's good. Dream Trawler's a great blocker that doesn't get spell quellered. This is just awful against their 1-drop. This doesn't block. I feel like I'm supposed to just trim some counterspells here. Is this a Blessed Alliance matchup? I feel like this non-targeted removal really sucks. I'm 39. No, not at all. So, but primarily, like my YouTube, I guess I should look at my YouTube metrics. I assume Twitch matches my YouTube pretty well. I think it's like a little under half of people are in the 25 to 34 range, but there's people in most age groups. You watch knitting tutorials? What is it? Audience. What is YouTube estimate? Sorry. YouTube estimates that 60.4% of my YouTube watchers are between 25 and 34. And then 35 to 44 is 20. And 18 to 24 is 15%. Then there's very small metrics in all the other age groups as well, obviously. Sorry, I'm not talking about their 1-drop. I'm not talking about Siren Storm here. I'm talking about Mausoleum Wanderer is the counterspell 1-drop I'm referring to. Mageologist, thanks for the 16 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Tongsgi, thank you for the 3 months. I appreciate the quarter of the year. Probably going to hold on to this Hieroglyphic Illumination. Yeah, maybe I should cycle it. Good. We're actually just talking about that. That gyms weren't on the list in a lot of places. Between Breach and Field, which deck do you think is better for laddering? I'd imagine the Breach deck is probably better for laddering, because I'd assume its average match time is faster. The Field deck is very good and very, very competitive and very fun, but it often does not play short matches. Well, I don't believe my YouTube estimates are based on user-provided data. I believe the YouTube estimates are usually based on the fact that Google's listening to you and tracking your every move. So they know more about you than your significant other does. I'd be pretty surprised if that metric was based on viewers people entering things themselves. My stalker is my best friend, good old Google. Listen, we live in a society where we've traded privacy for convenience. My significant other knows me better because she lives inside my head. Think Field of the Dead is too good for Pioneer? No. I don't think Field of the Dead was too good for Pioneer when they banned it. I definitely don't think it's too good now. I'd like my spell to resolve, please. So, I elected to play the Reclamation here with Absorb, rather than just jamming the Dream Trawler, because I didn't want my Dream Trawler to just get, like, Mystic Disputed here. Let's see if Knight of the Reliquary is playable in Historic. To set a low bar, I bet Knight of the Reliquary is more playable in Historic than it is in any other format. Do you know when spoiler season starts? I guess that should actually be soon, huh? It should be, I think it's next Monday. I think next Monday is like the 4-ish week mark, right? Usually there's a month of them. It's playable on Legacy. I don't believe you. Yes, rotation in Magic only happens at the end of every year. Is there any alternative in Illinois for in-person voting? Missed the train on early voting. There isn't anymore. So we had mail voting as an option, but that closed Thursday. We talked about this earlier. I think it's incredibly irresponsible that states are still holding in-person voting this week. I think if they were doing what was best for people in their states, they would extend mail voting a week or two and cancel their in-person primaries. Your county postponed primaries till May. Where are you at, dude light? Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta was doing good things, it sounded like. Canceling in-person voting sounds illegal. We are living in extraordinary times, and pretending that anything that is currently going on is normal and that we need to appease and stand by all historical social norms is nonsense and dangerous, honestly. It was my understanding that if the general election gets canceled, the Speaker of the House becomes president until elections can happen again. Is that not the case? Am I misunderstanding? Am I misremembering? Gok Stefan, thank you for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. All right, so if I attack with Dream Trawler, my opponent would just trade Selfless Spirit for it, so that doesn't sound very good for me. I mean, there's a real concern that even if elections happen, if Trump loses, he's not going to go peacefully out of the White House. Donald Trump called an election that he won rigged. I can't even fathom what he's going to do if he loses an election. Well, if they don't have another Spell Queller, this Settle the Wreckage could do a lot of good for us. All of the scribes use chat. All right, scale of 1 to dead. What are we working with here? Thanks for keeping me around, Stefan. Hope you're staying safe this Monday. Yeah, the things they do are funny until you realize that those people get to vote and that they likely live in states where their vote counts for more than your vote counts for. All right. Spell Queller me, daddy. There's either a Spell Queller here or this is a concession settle, one of the two. There's nothing in place. If election is postponed, the post must be vacated on January 20th. The branch of government just would not exist for a while. Wild. Hopefully this long pause is them lamenting the fact that they didn't play around Settle the Wreckage, because they definitely end step to Spell Queller to make a big attack here. Yeah. Sorry I killed your creatures. Have some land. All right, so we're done here, right? We can go to game 3 where you run me over on the play. Tripping through time here. Dig into a dig, baby. You love to see it, chat. You love to see it. I think I'm just pumping the brakes. I don't think I want to trade this for their eagle. Especially with this dig. I think I want a Thassa's intervention here. Probably another absorb too. Man, this is better than a dig, huh? Whee! This duck's blocking creatures too, right? Yeah, it does. Go. Yeah, this deck is like blue-white control levels of slow in terms of closing games out. Not having Frilled Mystic, not having Frilled Mystic, not having Scarab God compared to no, stop it. Bad. I'm gonna discard this card anyways, might as well cast it in game 3. I did watch the debate yesterday. The industry could go bankrupt in 3 weeks or so. Turn 3 Carton Daddy, thanks to the 14 months. Welcome back. Yeah. There are a lot of industries that are going to be in a lot of trouble from all of this. And then there will be other industries that will then domino down after those because of lost revenue from other industries doing poorly. Even if we had strong social safety nets, there's a chance we'd be in trouble. And without them, we definitely are. Yeah, I should have been scrying there. I don't know. We're just like so far ahead. Like, I'm super down on clock. Just taking a lot of clicking, so. What if we didn't do that? Corporations are people, something like that. Ooh. build these. Because we're dream trawling. Do. This whole experience is going to highlight the glut of issues that exist with the United States as a whole. Honestly, globally as a whole. And hopefully it will push some people to get involved and care more and push for change. That's so pleasantly optimistic, Conqueror. I like you. There's still optimism left in Conqueror. Look at them thinking that people can learn and grow. I made the mistake of having a couple of moments over the weekend and trying to educate and inform someone that was spewing nonsense. And my number one mistake was before I took the time to respond to them, I should have checked their timeline. Because when I responded to them and linked them information that showed them what they were saying ran counter to reality, they moved their goalposts and reframed what they said to try and escape it and redirect to have whataboutisms. And then before I blocked them, I looked at their profile page, and lo and behold, they had retweeted a bunch of pro-Trump stuff. So there's definitely a strong correlation there between being pro-Trump at this point and being largely devoid of reality, especially when people link you things that run contrary to what you're saying. Well, the opponent missing land drops, so maybe we have a shot. Our 28 land deck also missing land drops now. Maybe I'm supposed to cycle the Illumination on my turn there, rather than hold up Dispute. That's probably what I'm supposed to do. I'm gonna hit one of our cycle lands and be sad. Well, didn't matter. Well, things that was not. A white source for the Supreme Verdict. Morning, Ninja Turtle Jr. They shocked in, so I expect we're about to see a Rattle Chains here. Morning, Red Locks. So now the concern is with the white source and the Rattle Chains, even if we hit our own white source next turn, there is a strong chance that they flash in Selfless Spirit and kill us anyways. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. Take my hand. We'll make it, I swear. Urkadar. Thanks for the 32 months. Yikes. Woof. Okie doke. Gotta hope for no Spell Queller, no Selfless Spirit. Please jam something that I can absorb. Please, 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 please. You are on 12 months, Pickable Us. All right. Quell me. Survey says, whoo! We're also just dead to rattle chains here. We're also just like dead to rattle chains. Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna be done with this one. So I skipped one of the matches because I had a pretty big misclick. We went 0-3 otherwise. I felt like this was much worse than the Sultai variation we've played a couple of times. Just not having real removal. Both Fatal Push and Assassin's Trophy and Abrupt Decay go a long way. The Sultai build, for people, for reference that haven't seen it before, this is one of the many deck lists up on my website. Both these cards for cheap, efficient interaction, as well as Scarab God for punching the clock and closing the game out faster, and Brazen Borrower and Obstructionist to pressure a little bit, and Frilled Mystic too. I felt like this build was a little bit more proactive and had better interaction in it. So I've definitely greatly preferred what this configuration was doing versus what the Bant build that we just tried was trying to accomplish. All right, at any rate, I'm going to hit a quick ad roll while we get things set up and get flipped over to Magic Arena for the rest of the day. When I get back, we are going to be playing a white devotion with a small black splash for Cruel Celebrant. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.